Hey, Em.
What's up?
What are you getting me for Christmas?
I haven't thought of anything yet. I'm just kidding. I've thought of a couple things.
Really?
But they're probably going to be some cool shirts I've been looking at.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Good, because I'm glad that you got the list that I sent you.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. I know that I've been looking at ModCloth, though.
Oh, yeah.
They've got some pretty nice stuff. And, I'm kind of crappy when it comes to knowing your size, but lucky me, they've got a double X small all the way to 4XL. So
it's a crapshoot. Just got to pick one, and I'll put it on my body.
Also, if I'm wrong, they have free sizing. They have all these different stylists that will help you at their own ModCloth team.
That's actually really helpful.
Yeah, so I mean, even if I'm wrong, if Blaze is wrong, if any boyfriend getting their girlfriend something, or their girlfriend getting their girlfriend something, or their girlfriend getting their boyfriend something.
Equal opportunity.
No matter what, they can help you size and style for whatever fashion you want.
Yeah.
And you're going to look good.
It's great. And we're heading into fall, obviously. So they have summer styles that stay preserved for fall. So if you go on there now, you can find stuff that transitions to the new season. I'm such a basic girl. I'm already ready for leggings and vests. And I live in Los Angeles, but I don't care. I'm still going to wear my fall clothes, my fall wardrobe.
Fall, y'all.
Fall, y'all.
Go to modcloth.com. That's modcloth.com and enter promo code DRINK. Of course, at checkout to get 30% off of your order of $100 or more. It's a pretty nice deal.
It is a nice deal.
You can get quite a lot of stuff on there for $100 or more.
I want to ingrain that in your head, Em, because my Christmas list...
Okay, it's coming. I know.
It's coming at you.
What about my Halloween list? Get on it.
Oh, shit. All right, I walked right into that one.
Make every day extraordinary at ModCloth.
Let's be professionals.
I can't even see you with this plunger in the way. Oh, timber. No, we're good.
Okay.
Oh, now I can see you. Actually, this works really well.
Oh, this is good. Just put the plunger to the side a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. All right.
Yeah.
What's up?
We're just going to ignore everything we've been doing, huh?
We're professionals.
Should I lead us into what we just might as well talk about?
Yeah, let's just get it out of the way because I feel like...
Let's start with a good part that people get so distracted with, they forget what we're leading to. Okay. You moved into a new house.
I did, and somehow we managed to find a house in the city of Los Angeles that we could afford to rent. So yeah, here we are, and I was like, it's great. We have a whole room where we can set up our recording equipment. Mm-hmm. You take it away.
So we're in the new studio, guys.
Yes.
And it hasn't been posted on Instagram, but we're probably going to post it within the next 10 minutes. So probably. You'll have seen it by then. The recording studio is just so big that and Christine doesn't have a lot of stuff because they came from an apartment and now have to fill like this huge house. She's going to call it a house. It's a fucking mansion. She really has it made right now.
Our recording studio before was inside my kitchen and living room and dining room because it was all one room.
We just sat in the middle of everyone else living their lives and we would record, and somehow it always came out relatively quiet. But now we have our own whole room, which is the size of the kitchen / dining room / living room that we used to record in. And she doesn't have anything to decorate it with, so it's so empty in here. So we started recording and it was so echoey and you could just hear the reverb. It sounded like we were in a cave. And so I was like, Christine, why don't we just put our master's degrees in audio production to good use? And we rolled out a rug to absorb some of the sound. And I was like, oh, we need some softness around the walls. And we didn't have any. So we dug through her boxes of move-in stuff and found a children's sheet, which is thumbtacked to one side of the wall. And then we have a shelf that has not been mounted yet. We have that holding down the other end of the sheet on a shelf over us. So we're basically in a pillow fort right now, and we have a plastic crate and a plunger in between us to keep the TP center
there's
up.
There's a plunger in the middle of our faces right now.
As I'm looking at Christine, there's a plunger 2 feet away from my face. But we're in a pillow fort.
And then we made our intern Allison take a phone cord and tape it to the ceiling.
Oh yeah, because part of the sheet was drooping on me, and so we wove a phone charger through it. And then we had Allison tape and thumbtack it to the ceiling. So it looks, for a new recording studio, we are just so professional.
I'm impressed personally.
Speaking of professionalism.
That was my brother coming home, I think. At least he's not walking in the room like he would be at the other place.
That's true. But then afterwards, we're going to have to show him this.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Be
he'll
like,
see
come
it.
on in.
Welcome.
We're using your plunger.
Oh, yeah. By the way, don't clog your toilet, kids.
All right. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really pumped about this new place. How are you?
I'm all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's life?
It's okay. Nothing great. Well,
what's wrong?
no, I'm just really tired. This week's been so exhausting. And I'm in that zone where, like, I'm totally introverted, where I don't want to talk to a single person.
Oh, no.
And so I had a long day of work, a long few days of work in a row. And then all I wanted to do was go home, but then I had to record tonight. And you moved, and now you're an hour commute to me. So once a week, I now have to commute 2 hours.
That is rough. Maybe we should do weekends.
Okay.
Does that work
And
better
then we
for
can
you?
have sleepovers
Mm-hmm. Does that work better?
in our pillow fort with plungers.
Yeah. I mean, we already have the setup.
For sure.
What more do we need?
For sure.
Cool. Now
So
that
anyway.
that's settled.
But also, I'm like also being a spoiled brat right now because I drink for really good reasons. Allison took me on a lot of really cute dates
I was
already
going to
this week.
say, why are you even complaining?
I shouldn't be.
You got a picnic and all that?
I know. Also, I'm not drinking a milkshake today because
Because I live too
the
far
fucking
away.
commute. I couldn't go get a milkshake.
I don't live
we're gonna
across
have to
from
figure out
House of Pies anymore.
I know. We're never going to have House of Pies right across the street anymore.
Oh, that's rough. I'm drinking.
Well, we know that. Is it because you're moving?
Do you want to know why I drink?
Oh, I do.
Let me tell you. I drink because I was setting up this recording studio, quote unquote, yesterday, and I was moving all the stuff in, and I was home alone, and I was putting some chairs down, and all of a sudden there's a cellar that's attached to this room, and the door just click and opened next to me, and I screamed, Jesus Christ! And I ran out of the room, and I haven't been in ever since. And the door is really creepy. I posted about this on the secret Facebook group, which you guys should definitely join if you haven't, because it's so much fun. And basically there's a door with like creepy children's drawings on the back of it that we discovered next to our recording studio that goes into a creepy ass basement / cellar.
It really is. It looks like it's like all old wood from the 80s, and a lot of it's watered out and looks really gross and dingy. And the staircase down is so narrow that like you're guaranteed to break your ankle if you ever have to go down there.
Yeah.
But it's a really creepy. Well, you should take a picture and post it.
Oh, I will. And
the door.
there's like, I didn't even say it on the Facebook group, but there's like creepy, there's like a heart that was drawn by a kid and then someone crossed it all out. It's so creepy.
It looks angrily, vengefully crossed out. Like
Yeah.
they wrote themselves a love letter
And then scratched
and
it.
they're like, never mind.
So I was writing about the door on Facebook and how
Yeah.
it cracked open, and Julie S. on Facebook wrote, "You have your very own troll hole." And I was like, what? And she's like, "By the way, if you call it that, you need to give me credit. So
Oh,
just in
sure.
case, I'm
I
calling
mean-
the troll hole."
Well, if I ever find a troll down there, I will lose my mind, 1, 2, admit myself to an asylum, and 3, give Julie S. credit.
Yeah. Well, because when I was little, I played a song on the piano when I was 3 years old, and it was about like the Trolls March or something, and it scared the crap out of me. And then my mom made me get something from the basement, and I was convinced a troll lived down there, like, because I was 3.
Right.
And I was so terrified of the basement because in my head a troll lived down there, and it was like an evil troll. So when she said that, I was like, oh no.
Well, the perfect mystery will be the first time you ever have to go down that basement and you start hearing that troll music that you used to play on the piano.
No,
You just hear it slowly tapping.
Just one note.
Just one note.
Like the way a
one note,
3-year-old
one
would
note. Yeah, exactly. Your eyes are watering as
I don't like it. Can we change the subject?
Do you know any good stories about this place yet?
No, I was actually, that's what I was going to do today. I was going to look up the like died in this
blueprints and all
house
that?
or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Or diedinhouse.com.
Oh my God. Do you think someone died here?
I'm sure. I think
Christine.
they said a majority of houses in the U.S., a majority of houses in the world people have died in. Because, I mean, think about how many millions of people die every year. And it's just logical that people would die in most.
Okay, well, if you tell me that someone died in this exact fucking room, I will lose my mind.
Someone died in my childhood bedroom. Mr. Chatfield, he used to steal my retainer.
Oh, right, that guy. Maybe his teeth were crooked.
Back in my day, we didn't have orthodontists. Anyway.
All right.
That's why I drink. this place might be haunted, and we're recording
It's for sure haunted. The second I walked in here, I was like, oh, this is a haunted house.
Okay, stop. Are you serious?
Yeah.
My friend told me she thought the kitchen was something was off with the kitchen, and I was like,
There's something off in this whole fucking place.
no, there's
Christine.
not. I feel good about this house. Our last place, I did not. I felt like something was weird about that house.
That's weird because I never thought anything was weird in your
The
place.
second I walked in there, I was like, I don't want to stay here more than a year.
Oh, I'll give you a year, demon.
Yep. I will fend you off for an entire year. Anyway.
Should we just dive right in?
Let's do it. And by the way, guys, people keep asking on the Facebook group why we don't say what we're drinking anymore. Because it's always the same thing.
It's always a box of wine and it's always a milkshake.
We tried to spice it up.
I remember in the beginning, I was like, oh, I'm going to have a different milkshake every week. But that's also because I thought we would last like 4 weeks.
Yeah, we were like, we only have a month to go.
30 milkshakes of all different flavors within a mile range of me. So
Yeah, I just drink box wine because I like it. So I got my Trader Joe's Shiraz.
it's always either Shiraz or the Cab.
Yeah.
So this was a story that got recommended a couple days ago by, she also recommended the Trans-Allegheny Asylum.
Oh, she got it. She's got a twofer here.
She's got 2 for...
Lucky duck.
She wrote to me and said, I don't mean to like be weird. I just like finding things that disturb people. So, keep talking about them. And I was like, okay. So, okay. So this is from Kyler.
Oh, Kyler. We love Kyler.
And she suggested the San Pedro Haunting.
Oh, shit. I don't know what that is, but it gave me goosebumps.
Okay.
Thanks, Kyler.
Thank you, Kyler. Also because I did not have an idea for this week. And Kyler hooked me the fuck up like 20 minutes into me wondering what I should do. So thanks,
Listen.
Kyler. It's all about timing.
We love you guys. Thanks for doing our work for us.
So the San Pedro Haunting is known by the person who was getting haunted in the house. Her name was Jackie Hernandez. Mm-hmm. So this happened in 1988.
I have a stupid question.
Oh my.
Where's San Pedro?
San Pedro? It's all the way.
San Pedro.
It's probably San Pedro. I think it's San Pedro. Most people say San Pedro out here.
Where is that?
It's down by the water. It's
What state
by
is that
Long
in?
Beach. It's California.
Okay.
Oh my.
I don't know anything
I
about
used to live right next to San Pedro when I was out in Inglewood, Culver City.
That's right. You were in West LA.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in South LA.
Oh, yeah. South LA.
Where are you?
No, I don't know why you think that I know these things.
I don't know either.
I don't even know where I am right now, and I live here.
So in 1988, this began in San Pedro, California.
And there's a lot of San Antonio.
There are San Bernardino, Santa Clarita,
See, I don't know.
Santa Ana.
Just making excuses.
All right, let's try this again. In 1988, Jackie Hernandez was a single mom who moved into her new bungalow. I don't know what a bungalow is.
I do.
What is it?
It's a one-story, like a beach type house, but it's only like a one-story house.
Oh, so that's kind of what I live in. Okay, so we're almost done with the first bullet.
Oh, good for us.
Yeah.
We should celebrate.
Right, yeah.
What should we talk about to celebrate?
Well, I know we could drink.
Oh, okay. I'll
So-
do that.
Jackie was a single mom who moved into her bungalow with her 2-year-old son, Jamie, and she was also pregnant.
Oh, no. Sorry, I'm sorry.
The scariest part of this whole story.
That's terrifying.
She felt a presence in the home right away, and weird things started happening. So there were noises in the attic, objects would move around. She saw some black shadows floating through the rooms, flying orbs, the good stuff.
Ugh. Can you imagine being a single mom and you only have a little baby with you? You can't even have a conversation about it with him.
Yeah, you can't look at the 2-year-old and be like, you see that fucking shit?
You see that demon over there?
It's like, I don't play with that.
You have to play the game of no, there's nothing.
Yeah, except kids see stuff more often, which means that
Right.
kid is crying at things you can't see.
And then you have to pretend it's not there. Oh.
Yeah. Yuck.
Yuck.
So at first, the first real things that she started noticing a lot were pebbles would fall through the walls,
What?
which I don't know what that means. To
I
be
don't
honest.
either.
But things would just fall from the ceiling that should not be there,
Oh, God.
and they'd fall right on her, like an anvil, and she's Wile E. Coyote.
There's little rocks.
She has a little sign that she carries everywhere. Oops. Uh-oh. Then every night she started hearing a high-pitched sound that hurt her ears. And when she followed the sound, it was actually coming from the attic where the trap door on the ceiling had opened itself.
Hell the fuck no.
And that started happening on an every night basis. Her bed would repeatedly collapse on its own. The whole bed frame would just fall apart. And she thought she could hear voices mumbling in the attic, but she also didn't want to go near the attic because
Yeah, I
it
don't
kept
blame
opening
her.
by itself. Her cat would run around the house looking afraid of something in another room and would hiss at things that weren't there. She's also on different in different times seen pencils fly out of a pencil holder at her and cans of soda fly out of the fridge at her all by themselves.
Oh, that would hurt.
Yeah, I was like, at first I thought they were empty cans, and then it said full, and I was like, Jesus.
That's gotta hurt real bad.
That'll leave a mark. So another time she brought in groceries and found magnetic letters on the fridge spelling, "Get the hell out."
What the fuck? That's when I would think
It was the 2-year-old, for sure.
Yeah, for
Terrible twos.
you hear about those terrible twos.
She had vivid dreams in which she was a young man in the 1930s being clubbed to death with a lead pipe and drowning in the San Pedro Harbor.
I'm sorry.
Very specific.
What a very specific dream to have.
And she would have it all the time and only wake up after she was drowning. Once she heard a sound in the attic and went to check on it with a flashlight, and straight up like a movie, it was pitch black. All she had was the flashlight, and she just like, kind of like how in a movie it would pan around as if you were the one looking with the flashlight, and she turned at the final corner and an apparition of a severed head flew at her.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Another time her ex-husband came to pick up the baby, and he didn't believe her at first when she complained about it and shouted into the house, "If there's something here, show yourself." And obviously nothing happened. And as soon as he left, Jackie went into the closet and found his name written hundreds of times on the closet door.
Oh my
Let's go check
God.
that closet door.
I was about to say I'm never opening.
Does it say Al? Because that's the guy's name.
I'm never opening that door again.
If it says Al the next time we look, I will lose my mind.
I'm never opening that again.
There was also a glowing cloud that would float around the house at night and try to suffocate her.
Oh,
Just also glowing cloud sounds nice and happy. I would almost want to approach the cloud.
thinking like My Little Pony, like
Right,
a little
yeah.
shiny cloud,
But it just floats around
and tries to murder
and
you.
tries to murder you. Eventually, Jackie told her neighbor Susan, because she kind of had to, because eventually she showed up at Susan's house in the middle of the night because she had heard heavy breathing coming from her son's room while he was sleeping and saw a dark figure of an old, haggard man sitting on her son's bed.
Oh my God.
And she said she told Susan, or she didn't tell me, she told Susan. She just told Susan.
She told me,
And so this bitch had the nerve to say to me to my face.
and then she said,
Okay, so she told Susan that after she heard the heavy breathing and saw a guy sitting there, I guess he was staring at her from his bedroom and down the hall, and his eyes were as red as lasers.
"No, thank you."
He also wore red flannel and suspenders.
Oh, he's like a lumberjack.
Yeah, she actually referred to him as a lumberjack.
Great.
She watched him form from a mist into a face and finally into a full-bodied apparition. And she reported that in the darkness, his eyes chilled her to the core and were, quote, filled with hatred. So it's like definitely an evil thing. It's not just hanging out. Because my first ghost I ever saw was sitting on my bed and looking at me. But it was my grandpa.
It was like a loving
It was like
spirit.
a loving, like, I'm just here to hang out with you while you sleep. Which is the most boring time to hang out with me, by the way. Because I'm a thrill outside of sleep.
You heard it here first, folks.
I just watched your eyes, like, not roll. Like, your eyes rolled. You know what I meant?
Oh, man. That was a good one, Em.
So it also, as soon as she watched it form and stare at her, just as soon as it formed, it also vanished. And seconds later, after it was gone, every window shade in the room flew up to the ceiling.
Great.
So she ran out and went to go tell Susan. And so now Susan's aware of this. So one night, Susan's over at Jackie's place, and they heard a loud bang from the kitchen and found a picture that was hanging on the wall originally was now leaning up against the counter behind the sink. And the nails that it had been hanging from were now on the table, standing up straight on their
No,
heads.
thank you. That's poltergeist shit.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
After so many episodes, I'm glad you know.
I'm learning a thing or two from you.
Susan told Jackie to at least say something to the landlord. It's like, good call, Susan.
Susan,
Good call. Susan,
thank God.
you're not wrong.
You're that person in those like haunted movies who's like the voice of reason.
Yeah, and like, but like the first one of like, maybe we should leave. And
Yes.
it's like, yeah, maybe we should.
Listen to Susan.
So the landlord, she told the landlord, and the landlord were the later voice of reasons and suggested calling priests. Landlord was like, why did Susan tell you to call me? Call a fucking priest.
Oh my God.
So the priests were skeptical, and the next day, Jackie ended up getting a representative from social services showing up at her house because the priests reported that Jackie was not making any sense and they didn't believe what she was saying, and she must have been on hallucinogenics and
That's awful.
and was unable to care for the kids. So once again, thanks priests, I guess.
Once again,
For all the times I've ever needed you, this was not the time to call social services on me.
if I had a nickel for every time Em said, thanks again, priests, I would be
If
a
I had a
rich
nickel for every
bitch.
priest that ever helped me, I'm my own priest because I'm ordained.
That's not a priest, my friend.
I'm a reverend.
We've had this conversation.
I know. If I had a nickel for every reverend I liked, there'd be $1 in my pocket and it'd have my face on it.
A nickel, so how many dollars?
That's
So
20.
how many? You have 20 reverends that you like?
I fucked up.
I know. I just wanted you to talk about it.
No. Well, then you should have not said anything. I would have just kept going. Anyway, the bottom line is because the priests were not helpful and they were the only person she thought she could go to, she basically decided she was just not going to tell anyone because no one was going to be able to help her.
Poor thing.
Also because her kids almost got taken away. So
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Jackie's friend Tina was babysitting the kids one night, and when checking on the baby, so she goes into the baby's room, and the bedroom door opened for her on its own.
How polite.
I know, and she didn't even think that was weird, so she went into the room.
Oh, she didn't?
No, so she went into the room and then closed the door behind her.
No.
Which, first of all, if you're ever checking on a kid, don't you just open, peek your head in, and then leave?
Like, don't close
She straight up
the
went
door.
into the room and closed the door behind her.
She didn't even open the door. Just
Yeah.
All right.
I guess she just assumed it was a convenient draft.
So Tina's basically the
Like Tina's the one that dies first.
Yeah, she's
or
like-
surprisingly lives the longest because she's just an idiot
maybe
and bypassing everything.
She's just accidentally. She's like the foil to Susan. She just like somehow manages to not know what's going on.
She's like, whoa, everyone's dead. How'd I miss that? And it's
Oops.
like, you were in the same room, Tina. Anyway.
God damn it, Tina.
So when checking on the kid, the door opened on its own. She closed it behind her, continued to check on the child, which I don't know why it takes more than a second. And she turned to leave the room, and the door opened for her again on its own.
She's like, thank you.
She's like, wow, kind. She closed the door, and that was that for the day. She didn't even think about it.
I'm sorry.
She only reported on it later when she's like, well, it was kind of funny when this happened. And Jackie was like, excuse me, what the fuck happened?
God damn it, Tina.
So one day, Jackie and Tina are cooking, and then all of a sudden they see blobs of light near the kitchen ceiling. And Jackie tries to take pictures of it, but of course the camera stops working.
Sure.
And Tina takes the camera instead and takes a picture. But as soon as she presses the shutter, the face of the old man showed up on the screen and then vanished. Like as fast as a flash would. Like the face was there and then went away.
Oh, no.
And so Tina described it to Jackie, and Jackie's like, that's the face that I saw on my son's bed.
Ugh.
Then they were talking about it later while washing dishes. And they ended up finding a yellowish pus-like ooze in the sink.
No.
And it was also coming out of the cabinets, pooled on the floor, and surrounded them, but did not actually touch their feet. So just like closed in on them.
What the hell?
I bet Tina was like, that's funky.
Your house is so weird.
One of a kind. So finally, Jackie calls for help. She's like, this is too much. There's ectoplasm coming out of my house.
Literally. Who did she call?
She called Dr. Barry Taff of UCLA Parapsychology Lab.
Oh, okay.
And he brought along, because I guess he wanted to make a quick buck, he brought a cameraman named Barry Conrad and a photographer named Jeff Wheatcraft. Mm-hmm. And they went to investigate her house and actually documented a good chunk of it. And the cameraman, Barry Conrad, turned it into a documentary, which y'all can see. It's called An Unknown Encounter.
Ooh.
They experienced during this investigation temperature drops, smells of rotting flesh, and erratically moving balls of bright light that formed into the shape of a man.
Rotting flesh?
Yes.
Okay.
My favorite of smells.
Just checking.
They also found the same ooze dripping out of parts of the house. Mid-interview, all of the equipment lights would shut down all at one time, or they would go like boom, 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 boom. Like they would all go right one after the other.
I don't know which is creepier.
The team also heard sounds in the attic that sounded like, quote, a 200-foot-pound rat running around.
I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna.
Could have just said a 200-pound man.
Yeah,
but I guess rat.
200-pound creature, but sure.
Just a heavy thing with legs.
It definitely had a long tail.
So Jeff, the photographer, went up to the attic to take pictures because obviously when you hear a 200-pound rat running around,
sure,
why not approach it?
People like us are going to not believe Jeff.
So downstairs, Barry, the cameraman, heard a growl say, "Get the hell out." And right after he heard that sentence, Jeff in the attic began screaming. So Jeff, they find him and he swears an invisible force grabbed the camera right out of his hands and threw it into the ground. When they go upstairs to look for the camera together, the body of the camera was sitting neatly in a dusty box.
No.
Without its lens, and the lens was on the total opposite side of the attic, undamaged, right behind the attic door.
That is
So totally separated.
so creepy.
So Jeff tried to get some more photos while he was up there because I guess why not in a time of crisis when an invisible thing is damaging your expensive stuff.
When a 200-pound rat steals your camera.
Yeah, when you find your camera, you might as well keep taking pictures of the rat you can't see. But a foul stench showed up. Another smell of rotting flesh, and Jeff was pushed out of the attic with hands that he could not see. And I bet you Jeff and Tina would be a fucking match made in heaven. He's like, "What happened?" And
like,
Tina's like, "I don't know."
She's like, "Oh, golly, you fell."
Oh, they sound like the worst couple.
Jeff
to
and
ever
Tina
know.
better just rent a cabin and leave us all alone.
So the ooze was actually taken to a lab at UCLA, and it
Really?
was found to be human blood plasma with high levels of iodine and copper.
I'm sorry.
And they still don't know where that came from or how it was leaking out of the house.
Wait, are you kidding me?
No.
Holy shit.
Human blood plasma with higher than usual levels of iodine and copper. Blaze?
Blaze, tell
How
me.
does human blood plasma just leak out of a house?
His answer, it doesn't.
Exactly.
End of conversation.
And that's why we didn't really get Blaze.
And that's why Blaze is not a part of this podcast.
It's like, oh, your fiance doesn't believe in ghosts, and that's why we drink.
I drink for that every day. Hey, guess what I like to do?
Sleep.
How did you know?
Because it's my favorite activity, too.
Oh my God, that's why we're friends.
Napping, probably number one, right above this podcast.
I mean, I like podcasting and drinking wine, but napping's in the top 5.
I like napping, waking up, and then having a podcast in a bed with you.
Well,
we could try that sometime.
in a bed.
What kind of bed?
Probably a Casper mattress.
Say it.
I'm really smooth.
Did you know that the Casper is an obsessively engineered mattress? Did you know that you get a 100-night trial for free with no hassle returns if you're not happy? Which means we could sleep in a Casper mattress for 100 nights.
100 nights?
A whole 100 nights.
We could probably record 100 episodes
That's probably true.
in that amount of time.
It's designed, developed, and assembled in the USA.
It's good.
Product design features a marriage between foam layers for ideal firmness. Just the right sink and just the right bounce, so you can't spill your wine on it, probably.
I don't know if we can confirm that, but probably yes.
Probably.
Casper is affordable because they sell directly to consumers, so you don't need to go to the store and buy a mattress from an actual mattress store.
You did just move into a house, so I'm sure when it comes to it just being able to work out all nice and easy for you, it's not something you're going to complain about.
For sure. As someone with severe social anxiety, the last thing I want to do is go to a mattress store and let them sell me a mattress.
Plus, free shipping and returns to US and, my favorite, Canada.
If you go to casper.com/drink and use promo code DRINK, you will get $50 off your order of any mattress.
Gio has a Casper mattress.
It's the first dog bed that he's actually slept on.
Well, Gio tested, Gio approved. I bet the human ones are even better.
Geo approved. Like, what more can you possibly
And he
ask
doesn't
for?
approve much.
Right.
It's peanut butter and Casper mattresses.
That's all that he really cares about.
Promo code DRINK.
Promo code DRINK. Check it out. Get $50 off your order. Casper.com/drink. You won't regret it.
And that's why we drink.
And that's why we drink. Buy your dog one, too.
So the activity continued for several months, but to a lesser extent, which is nice, even though they didn't even exercise the house or sage it or anything. They just showed up to piss it off, and then surprisingly there was less activity.
Maybe it was tired. It was like, ugh.
is like, I cannot handle Jeff and Tina one more fucking night.
Jeff and Tina really took it out of me.
So there were still random lights and voices, and the smell of rotting flesh was less frequent, but still around. One night, the spirit played with the kids' toys by throwing a beach ball out of the living room to Jackie.
Oh my God, oh, no.
The beach ball flew at her from the living room. Imagine looking at something that's standing by itself in a room, and then all of a sudden just projectiles itself at you.
It's honestly terrifying. And you're the only adult there.
Mm-hmm. So then she heard footsteps coming toward her after a ball got thrown at her. She heard footsteps coming toward her and felt a heavy being. I guess that's the only way you can say it.
Was it a rat?
No.
Okay.
Felt a heavy being sitting on top of her and choking her.
Thank God it wasn't a rat. That would have been even worse.
Like an idiot, like Tina, she ran up to the attic instead of out the door.
What?
Like a classic horror movie. It's like, get out of the house. Don't go somewhere that's even harder to escape from.
Yeah.
She ran up the attic, saw the apparition as a full body.
No.
And then it shoved her through the trapdoor onto the main floor.
No, thank you. I'm sorry, wait. There's a trapdoor to... Okay.
You know, like how you go up the door of the attic?
Yeah.
It pushed her down through those stairs and onto the main floor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird to call it a trapdoor when it's the only door.
Yeah, it seems strange, but, I get it.
So she grabbed her kids and finally got out of the house and called Barry to come back. And the phone line cut out mid-sentence.
No.
Like a horror movie.
This is an actual horror movie.
It was an actual horror movie. So Barry and the other two.
Jeff.
They are. Jeff. Barry, and Jeff.
I only remember Jeff.
Who could forget Jeff?
Jeff and his camera.
So the three of them come back to the house. And on the second trip, the team also filmed small blobs of light that traveled throughout the rooms that they hadn't seen before. But it was just like floating around. Jeff also, once again, typical Jeff, went to go investigate the attic. This time they brought another guy named Gary.
Oh no, I have a feeling Gary's going to be a dumbass.
Gary kind of saves the day for a second. For
Gary.
Stupid ass Jeff though, so really Gary's mediocre.
All right, Gary, I'm sorry.
It's just like fumbling around with an idiot. That's what Gary's job is.
Okay.
So while up in the attic, something grabs Jeff by the neck, drags him across the attic, and pulled him into the rafters.
Oh my God.
It put a clothesline around his neck, lifted him over the rafters, and hung him to a nail hanging on the wall that was taller than him. So something was strong enough to pull a grown man down the attic, wrap a clothesline around him, tie it to a nail, and then lift a grown man's body off the ground and hang him on a nail.
No.
So Gary had to chase him. Fucking poor Gary. He did not sign up for this.
I feel you, Gary.
Also, well, hang on. We'll get there. So Gary chased him while taking pictures in the dark just to try and use the flash to see Jeff.
Oh.
So Gary's a smart one.
Gary, good job.
Gary had to pull Jeff off the nail in the rafters, and had he not, Jeff probably would have choked.
Christ alive. What the hell?
Because by the time they pulled him off, there was like a thick red ring around his neck, like a noose. Like he was really getting hanged. And that was the night that Jackie and the kids left the house and never went back.
Good.
So Jackie left San Pedro, but the paranormal activity actually followed her. And when she and some of the neighbors at her new place were putting a TV away in her shed, the image of the old man from San Pedro showed up on the screen. Like the TV was unplugged and they were moving it, and the TV turned on with the man's face.
Throw it in a ditch.
Set it on fire.
Set it on fire.
Throughout the rest of the night, she heard something pounding from the inside of the shed where they left the TV.
Okay, don't ever okay, I changed my mind. Don't open the shed.
Set the shed on fire.
Set the entire shed on fire.
She reported to the team. She called them again. Can you imagine being Barry, and Jeff and being like, what could she want now?
It's like
I don't want to know. Poor Jeff is like, I don't want to go in an attic again.
He's like, I can't breathe anymore.
Jeff is like, I need Gary by me at all times.
My throat hurts.
So they ended up following her to the new place where there was no attic. So good for Jeff. Jeff and Barry showed up and they held a seance. And the first conversation they had with a Ouija board.
Oh, snap.
They asked, how many ghosts are there in here? And the response was, phantoms fill the skies.
No. No.
They then said, why do you target Jeff? We all know Jeff asked that fucking question.
Why are you
picking on me?
me?
And then they said, he resembles my killer.
Shut the
Then they said, why
up.
do you target Jackie? And they said, energy. And they said, what kind of energy? And they said, dead. And then they said, I must go now. The sun has come.
I don't like any of this.
The cameras were rolling the whole time and they captured nothing. It looks as if they're just sitting there. It doesn't even sound like they said anything out loud. It looks like a constant running footage of them just sitting there not talking. It like totally recorded a whole other reality.
I have goosebumps. So wait, when they got the answers, was it like they audibly heard it, or was it?
No, it was all spelled out Ouija board.
On the Ouija board. Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So their equipment kept inexplicably switching off this entire time. And another spirit that came through on the Ouija board told them that it was the spirit of the man that she kept seeing. And it was a man who died in San Pedro Harbor when he was 18 years old in the 1930s, which is the dream that she kept having.
Jesus Christ.
And his murderer lived in the house that she was staying in. So he was haunting her while the guy who killed him was also part of the house. Jeff, gotta love Jeff.
God damn it, Jeff.
There wasn't an attic, but they weren't done with him yet. They lifted him into the air and threw him against the wall. Jeff had to be like, are you kidding me?
Jeff's like the kid from Magic School Bus who's like, I knew I should have stayed home today. Just like, can't escape.
He's Arnold.
He's Arnold from Magic School
He's like,
Bus.
oh no.
Not again.
So he was then dropped on the floor unconscious. And when he woke up, he said that he felt something squeezing the inside of his diaphragm before he passed out.
I'm sorry, the inside of his diaphragm?
Like his insides, like not squeezing around his body and hurting his diaphragm, but like almost a hand
like
inside
his
of
guts.
him. Like his guts.
Oh, that's what I feel like every day. Hashtag Crohn's disease. Am I right, guys?
Oh my God. Oh my God. So after this, Jackie moved several times throughout the years, and the farther she moved away, the less frequent her visits with these spirits would be.
She should have moved to Russia or something.
Oh, for sure. So over time, the hauntings actually have ended for her.
Thank God.
But the original home in San Pedro still gets complaint of paranormal activity, and no tenants have ever lived there for more than 6 months.
No, 6 months?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Jackie also, this is just a fun fact, she has said that when she lived in the San Pedro house, there was a ball of light that once appeared to her, and she followed it, and it took her to a graveyard 13 blocks down from her house. And it hovered over one grave, and the stone marker was John Damon. So after this whole seance and everything, after digging through records, she identified that the spirit that came through in the Ouija board, his name was Herman Hendrickson, and he had drowned in the 1930s, and the picture of him was the picture of the guy that she had seen in her dreams.
Oh, no.
So that was one of the spirits that had been following her around, was the guy who died.
Right.
As for the ghost of the old man that kept staring at her on her son's bed, Jackie determined it was the man who probably built the home, just as a guess, because in the seance it said something about the guy who lives in this house killed me. So she was like, okay, maybe it's the guy who built the home. Through looking through more records, she found out that the guy who used to built the home and used to live there, his name was John Damon, which is the grave marker she found through this white light. And he was only buried 13 blocks away from the house that she lived in / he built.
I just got chills.
So the only skeptical part of this that we can find is that if you really look at the records, the guy that drowned, Herman Hendrickson, that was the ghost that kept haunting her in her dreams. When he died, he was 28 years old, he was 28 years old, not 18, like he said on the Ouija board. But a lot of people have come back and said, like, if you've ever used a Ouija board, like, the marker could have been pointing at 1 or 2, and you don't know. Also, the last thing I'm going to say about this is, according to Dr. Barry Taff, the guy who led this,
right?
He was such a douche about this. He said that Jackie was a classic poltergeist victim because she had been abused by men and had mental anguish and depression, which made her a perfect vulnerable victim for negative energies.
So he's victim blaming, basically, as the paranormal world.
For a parapsychologist, that's assuming that there's even ghosts, because his next quote is, "There is no such thing as the paranormal." It is a misnomer. So
wait, so he's a what?
Parapsychologist.
Isn't that about paranormal?
Parapsychology is the supernatural.
So wait, he doesn't believe in the supernatural?
Most people don't. Like when I did my investigations, a lot of them were actually like astrophysicists, and they wanted to psychologist.
Like, doesn't that imply that
usually, surprisingly, if people are in that field, their job is to debunk, not feed into the idea.
Really?
Yeah. So like a lot of people that I investigated with were scientists trying to debunk the stuff that we were doing.
So what's his point in that statement?
Basically, that there's this one theory called recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis, which I think it's called RSPK. I haven't really talked about it in a while, but I think the original idea of it is that there's no such thing as the supernatural. It's just us using either our third eye or like the other 90% of our brains that we don't know that we're capable of using. It's like us conducting enough mental energy to actually do these things. And because we don't have explanation.
So it's coming from more within ourselves.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
So he doesn't think there's anything paranormal about any of this. He actually thinks that she had a crush on the photographer. No, God forbid.
I really hoped it was Jeff.
Jeff is Tina's man.
Yeah, Jeff and Tina. It's a love triangle.
They think, he said, well, Jackie really liked the cameraman Barry Conrad. And every time that she wanted to get close with Barry Conrad, he was always around Jeff. And so she was mentally trying to push Jeff away and was causing all this shit to happen to him. Like, how petty do you have to be that you can mentally hang someone in an attic to keep them away from your man that isn't your man but is your man?
I think a lot of people wish they had that strength.
Trust me, if I had that strength, I would.
What would you do, Em?
Let's never mind. Let's skip that. Let's just say if someone was ever hitting on Allison in front of me, if I could conduct that kind of mental energy, I would for sure drag them through an attic.
You think?
If I could, I would.
If you could, but right. So I don't think like...
So I think Dr. Barry Taff is full of SHIT.
You know what I think?
Tell me.
I think Dr. Barry Taff had a little crush on Jackie and or Jeff. Maybe Jeff.
Ooh, we don't know.
Not Jeff. Barry, the one that she had a crush on. And maybe he was like being petty himself. Like, she just was...
It was a double petty.
Trying too hard.
Anyway, the truth will never be known. However, there is an update that as of 2008, people still aren't living in the house for more than a couple months.
Yowza.
So the best part of my story...
There's more?
Yeah. Because Gary was taking pictures to use the flash, he got pictures of Jeff getting hanged. Yeah.
What?
So if you go online and look up...
I'm scared.
The San Pedro Haunting and look up like Jeff getting hanged. It's there. And there's like all these shots that Gary got of him getting hanged like mid-drag.
What the... Are you kidding?
Look.
Okay. You gotta, if I die, please erase all of my...
Yeah, so Gary was not a good friend in the sense of like, if your friends die, you have to clear their internet history. Like,
yes.
This guy left all of the almost murders.
Oh my God. 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 Oh my God.
Yeah.
Em, why the fuck did you make me look that up?
Click them.
No, I won't.
Make them bigger.
Em, I'm fucking freaking out. What is this?
I want to see.
Delete it.
No.
No. X out.
That's him.
Set my computer on fire right now.
So that's him getting dragged up on the rafter. Remember he was getting hanged on the rafter? So then this was them trying to pull him down afterwards. This is right before they tried to like pull him down. And so all these other videos, so like if you were to go Google, what did you Google image? I can't read what you Google.
San Pedro Haunting.
Okay, so if anyone Google images San Pedro Haunting, you'll see a bunch of stills that look like it's a home video. That's because, remember, they were filming all of this. So there's actually, in that documentary that Barry Conrad made, a lot of it is footage from that night. So there's footage of them walking through the house and everything. And then there's a bunch of stills that Gary got when he was trying to go save Jeff. And Jeff is definitely hanging. So that is that.
That is creepy as fuck.
Yep.
That really creeped me out.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's just this room with the creepy cellar.
I mean, what's truly, as a child, with the heart and mind of a child, what could be scary when you're under a pillow fort?
I think that's what it is. The plunger in the middle of us.
We can get ourselves out of any old situation.
It's kind of like a Captain Underpants theme we've got going on.
It really is.
Yeah.
We've got an empty crate, a children's bed sheet, You don't even have children. Where's this children's? Is this from when you were a child?
I think my mom was like, oh, here's a bunch of sheets. And we just like have a pile of sheets that we never use.
Well, thanks, Renata, for this opportunity.
Renata, thank you for the sports themed bed sheet. It has like footballs on the side. As you know, we're a very athletic family.
Right, of course. Yes.
All right. Listen, I got a wild ride for you today. You ready for some crime? Mm-hmm. Okay. This is the story of Jack Unterweger, or if you pronounce it in his Austrian name, Unterweger. But I'm not going to say that.
What's the difference between an Austrian accent and a German accent?
Austrian accents have a much more like rolled R, like they make a sound.
Oh, okay. I don't know, because you said it and it sounded very German.
Oh, they speak German. It's the same language. They just have a dialect.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Are you weird with spiders? Because there's one climbing up a web on the Plunger.
Oh, my. Where? Oh, yes. Oh, he's a little babe.
All right. I didn't know if you're, like, weird about that.
Nah, I don't really care.
Okay.
I mean...
Remember that time? Oh, yeah. Remember when you put a gnat on your finger and you just, like, let it hold you?
I rescued it. It's a baby gnat. It wasn't, like, gonna hurt me. All right. We'll talk about this another time with our therapist.
Right.
All right.
I'm surprised we don't have a therapist yet together.
We should probably get one.
We'll talk about it.
So Jack Unterweger was born in 1950 in Graz in Austria. His mother was a Viennese barmaid, which the first time I read this article, I was like, Vietnamese barmaid?
Yeah.
Viennese.
I understand.
A Viennese barmaid and waitress. Did you know Vienna is my favorite city in the whole world?
No. Now I'm learning things about you.
Fun fact. That's where I want to move someday.
Oh, no big deal.
His father was an American soldier who had been stationed in Italy, and she had met him in Italy, and they had gotten together, and she got pregnant, and he peaced out. So she was really young, so she abandoned Jack when he was a baby and left him with his grandpa.
Okay.
And his grandpa's wife. She had her own struggles. Jack later said that his mother was a sex worker. It's kind of like debated whether she was or not.
Or whether he's just like being vengeful.
Exactly. Or whether he's making
gotcha.
stuff up. But when he was 3, his mother was arrested for fraud and he was sent to live with his grandfather. So according to him, it's a similar sort of thing where he claimed his father or his grandfather was a violent alcoholic. And it's kind of debated among people whether that's
true or not.
Right. Or whether it's true to the full extent. And he said that his grandfather often brought sex workers around and would have sex with them in their shared bed. Right.
Oh, no.
Fucked up. So either way, he kind of just it sounds like he had a fucked up time. He started a life of crime really young. When he was 16, he was arrested for assaulting a sex worker. And he was in and out of prison throughout his young adulthood for petty crimes. So between the years of 1966 and 1975, he was convicted 16 times.
Holy crap.
Like convicted 16 times, mostly for sexual assault.
Oh, shit.
And he spent most of those 9 years in jail. So he spent a lot of time in jail as a young adult. In December of 1974, Unterweger was 24 years old, and he had a girlfriend named Barbara Schultz.
Oh, Schultz.
Schultz. There's no O.
Oh, okay.
Close.
Schultz.
Which is weird because the other name in this exact paragraph is Schaefer. Oh my God, that didn't even occur to me.
Oh no.
Schultz and Schaefer instead of Schultz and Schaefer.
It's about us.
Shut the fuck up. I hope not.
Oh my God.
I sure as hell hope not.
Oh my God.
Okay. In December of 1974, he and his girlfriend Barbara Schultz kidnapped an 18-year-old named Margaret Schaefer.
Oh my.
And took her into the woods where they tied her up and assaulted her.
Oh my.
Unterweger demanded sex from her, and when she refused, he beat her to death with a steel pipe before strangling her with her own bra straps.
Oh no. Oh no.
Schultz broke down and confessed the crime to the police. And then Unterweger was arrested in 1976. And when he was on trial, he told the court, quote, "I envisioned my mother before me and I killed her."
Oh, shit.
So he literally admitted to...
Wow. Like he straight up just said into a megaphone, "I have mommy problems."
Yeah. He has mommy issues, faux show. And he basically, one article I read said he pictured his mother and couldn't stop beating this woman until she was dead. Yeah. So anyway, he was arrested and convicted of that, and he was sentenced to life in prison. He was actually illiterate, so he had grown up. He actually was a pimp during his teenage years, and he had done a lot of theft, and that's kind of how he had gotten by as far as money went.
Right.
So he had never learned to read or write. And so when he was in prison, he taught himself to read or write.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, got like really into it. And he actually wrote plays, poems, children's stories. In 1983, he wrote an autobiography called Fegefeuer oder die Reise ins Zuchthaus, which means Purgatory or the Trip to Jail, Report of a Guilty Man.
Ooh.
In which he talked about his struggles as the son of a sex worker. So that's kind of where he said his mom had been a sex worker and had abandoned him, et cetera, and the hardships he suffered in prison. So within 1 year, the book became this huge bestseller, and he became famous for his writing. People nicknamed him the poet of death because he wrote a lot about like his experience with death and his relationship to death. It was just really weird. It was in the 1980s at this point, and in Austria, there was this big movement among intellectuals for prison reform. So there was this whole social movement of like, we can reform prisoners, and all they need is a second chance. And it was mostly intellectuals, journalists, the socialists, leaning parties who were like, we can fix these people, and they can right their wrongs, and they deserve a second chance, essentially. So Unterweger used this to his advantage. So he saw that, so his autobiography basically exploded in popularity. They were teaching it in schools. It was a huge deal. People started touting him as the poster boy of prison reform, basically. He was the face of prison rehabilitation. He had essentially, as far as like the public eye went, he had transformed himself from a violent criminal to like this sensitive writer who understood his wrongs and said, I came from a bad background and I understand what I did wrong, et cetera, et cetera. So people throughout Austria basically began lobbying for his release from prison. And he had this huge like public backing of like everybody from politicians to famous writers, even somebody who won the Pulitzer Prize in 2004, like just really intellectual people who were like, no, like he gets what he did wrong. We should rally for him to be released. So 15 years into his life sentence, he was released from prison.
Wow. What year is it now?
So it was 1990 at this point. He had basically gained so much popularity as a writer within the Viennese social and intellectual scene that he was basically a celebrity. So these are some of the things that happened after he was released. So he gave readings throughout Austria and Germany. His plays were performed at national theaters. He began writing as a reporter for the ORF, which is basically the Austrian equivalent of the BBC. Mm-hmm. He was on TV talk shows regularly. He was a guest of honor at high society cocktail parties. And
guest of honor?
Yeah, because he was like the poster boy.
Let's all remember he put someone in the woods, assaulted them, and then strangled them with her bra straps. Yeah, like, because he like had a mental breakdown with his girlfriend. Because she wouldn't
have sex with him while she was tied to a tree, right?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So he became a murderer because someone wouldn't let him become a rapist.
Yeah.
So let's just all remember that he's the guest of honor now.
Yeah, now he gets a Mustang with a license plate Jack, number 1, Jack 1.
Jesus Christ.
Wearing designer clothes. There's photos of him in these like weird white suits with like cowboy boots and like big flower, like one of those weird pastor / country people, country singer outfits, like a white suit with a flower and cowboy boots. And he would wear those to like these cocktail parties with these rich intellectuals. And he was sort of the guest of honor because he was the reformed. And he was also very handsome, obviously very smart, very white, very everything people could latch onto and be like, oh,
so gross.
We can forgive him. Right. Very, very gross. Plunger.
Plunger almost attacked one of us.
If that thing hits me in that, I swear to God. By the way, if anyone's wondering about the Plunger, it is brand new and has not been inside a toilet yet. Just putting it out there.
This is just its first of many uses.
Who knew this dollar store plunger would be so useful? All right.
Oh, the spider's coming down the rabbit hole.
The itsy bitsy spider went down the plunger rod.
Went down the children's sheet. Oh, it didn't like my singing.
I blew at it. That was probably rude.
So wait, I'm sorry. You blew a spider into my direction? You're a fucking asshole.
Good times. Okay. So at this point, he was wearing designer clothes, driving a Mustang, had the license plate Jack 1. Basically, he had kind of absorbed his new life very quickly.
Yeah, he seems to not hate it.
Yeah. It was not horrible for him. So pretty soon he began crime reporting. So people were like, oh, you can write for Austrian news and like report on crime because you're a reformed prisoner. So you have a quote, unique perspective on crime. So they let him basically be a crime reporter.
God.
He was touted as an expert on criminal rehabilitation. So they basically thought he was the perfect fit. He at one point was working on a streak of murders that was happening around the area targeting sex workers and was a harsh critic of the police and how they handled the case. Little did they know he was reporting on crimes that he was committed.
It's the perfect storm.
Damn it, I wanted to shock you.
It just seems too good to be true.
I was going to go on further and I was like, there's no way Em's not going to realize what's happening.
No, as you said the sentence, you got me. You got me.
So
it's very Catch Me If You Can.
It is, which is my favorite movie.
It's actually a very good movie.
It's a great movie. Yeah, so essentially he was literally criticizing police on their handling of cases that he was involved in.
What a dream for him to be like this Adonis in the limelight.
Yeah.
And people are giving him whatever he wants. And then he now has a job where he is expected to report on and bully essentially and like make fun of the authorities for not being able to catch him.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
While he's also like being seen as this like wonderful,
isn't that crazy?
High honor.
Like an artist and a whatever he wants to be. It's just crazy. It's like the dream job for a narcissist.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So he somehow got himself...
You're getting glorified and you get to make fun of people for like putting the wool over their eyes every time.
While you're committing the crimes you want to be committing.
Yeah.
So it's like you get everything you want out of it. So yeah, it was just like the most narcissistic thing where he was like in front of everyone's eyes and wasn't getting caught. So
yeah.
At one point... so the first murder occurred 4 months after his release from prison. So he'd been in prison 15 years. Within 4 months, he murdered somebody.
Shit.
He was in Prague researching a magazine article on the red light district when a Czech sex worker named Blanka Bukova was strangled with her own bra.
Oh, my God.
Sound familiar? Over the next 6 months, Unterweger murdered 7 other women in Austria over 6 months. All sex workers and all strangled with their bra straps.
Oh, right. So like this, like...
It's like his thing.
Right.
He dumped most of their bodies in the woods outside Vienna or Graz. Police in Vienna grew suspicious of Unterweger, and because they didn't have any other leads, they turned to him as their main suspect. So at one point, they realized he had been to the U.S. Recently in June of 1991, because he had been commissioned to write a piece for the ORF, which is that like BBC for Austria, on crime in Los Angeles. So they called the LAPD and said, we have this guy that we're looking into. Basically, Interpol got involved and they said, do you have any open cases of sex workers who had been strangled with their underwear, with their bras? Mm-hmm. And the LAPD said, we have 3 within a 1 month period.
Oh, shit.
And they looked, and it was the month that he had been in Los Angeles reporting on prostitution in Hollywood.
Oh, my gosh.
So in addition to being strangled with their own bras, it turns out they were also assaulted with tree branches.
Oh, my God.
Apparently, he had been commissioned to write a piece on prostitution in Hollywood. He'd actually been on several ride-alongs with cops. The LAPD had let him sit in the cars, and they showed him all around the city, showed him where the sex workers were stationed, where they worked, gave him kind of the underground.
They just gave him like the cake,
everything,
all the cake, and he ate it too.
He was the most, yeah. It was like a narcissist wet dream. He basically got led around trying to quote unquote write an article on crimes he was about to commit.
And they were just taking him to all the hot spots.
And they gave him all the information on where they worked and where they would get picked up and et cetera, et cetera. Basically gave him an up close look at prostitution in LA. And guess what hotel he stayed in? Fun fact.
I don't know.
The Cecil Hotel.
Oh,
where
no, I would have not guessed that.
Elisa Lam drowned in the water tank. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, stayed. And the Black Dahlia stayed there.
I would just stop working at the Cecil Hotel.
Before her murder.
I would just be like, nah.
But yeah, so that's where he stayed, which is just adds to the list of...
So basically, guys, our first live tour will be at the Cecil Hotel.
Yowza.
Never mind.
Nope.
Never mind. No, we won't.
We can bring our blanket fort to the Cecil Hotel. As long as
we'll fit right in.
We'll walk in with a plunger and they'll be like, listen, we've seen weirder things happen here. So once police realized that Unterweger was connected to all of these crimes, they had enough evidence to invade his apartment in Vienna. But unfortunately, he had caught wind of what was happening, and he had fled with his 18-year-old girlfriend to Miami, Florida.
18.
He was 40-something.
40 enough.
40-something.
40 too much.
They went to Miami, apparently because she was obsessed with Miami Vice.
Well, if I were to go to Miami, same.
Can you imagine being the girlfriend being like... Oh, honey, I'm obsessed with this show. Just take me to Miami.
Oh, my God.
What the fuck?
It's like, couldn't you be, like, invested in something that's, like, in Rome or
That's what
France?
I was wondering. I just love that Owen Wilson movie, Midnight in Paris.
You're obsessed. Blaze.
The Eiffel Tower.
Blaze.
Blaze. Okay, so basically, they went to Miami. Apparently, he was... So when he murdered all these women, he basically... somehow managed to not leave any sort of trace aside from just their bodies. So there was a long time before they obviously even realized what was happening. But when he was on the lam, apparently he was terrible at it, and they just immediately followed his credit cards to the hotel he was staying in.
Oh, God.
So he was not smooth.
Well, also, it's a very narcissistic thing. You eventually just get so cocky that you're like, oh, well, they won't find me no matter what.
You're ultimately going to get caught.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're just rubbing things in their face, and eventually one of them's going to stick.
That's so true. Like, he was so in everyone's face. So they caught him pretty quickly. They extradited him to Austria. The entire time he proclaimed his innocence. He said he had nothing to do with it. He was charged with 11 homicides. And he was 11. And he was found guilty of 9 of them. On June 29th, 1994, Unterweger was sentenced to life in prison again. I read a New York Times article that said when he was being tried for his crimes, 20 women sat in the courthouse public galleries weeping because they were convinced of his innocence.
No.
Because he was so narcissistic, charming, and the typical psychopath. Like, he was charming, he was handsome, he was so slimy that he was able to... it was mostly women that he was able to rope in and convince that he was just a god and had nothing to do with any of this. So he had 20 women in the public gallery just sobbing when he was convicted because they were all convinced that he had nothing to do with it. And one woman even said with the work that he had written, he had to be made of love. There's no other way that he had written like the writings he did unless he was
what an idiot.
Was
her name Tina?
Tina and Jeff were there.
Tina and Jeff were weeping tenfold.
Jeff was like trying to take photos, but his lens just kept flying across the room. He was like getting dragged around the attic.
Oh, for sure.
It was just a hard time for everybody. Okay, so the DA's office. So basically, he was convicted of 9 of the murders. So he was sentenced to life. The DA's office celebrated the victory. They went out. They partied till 3 a.m. They were so excited that they had, put him away for good. They partied till 3 in the morning. The next morning, they found out that hours after his conviction, he had turned a cord from his pants into a noose and hanged himself in his prison cell. And he had said before, when somebody asked him, what do you plan to do? He said, I plan to appeal this ruling. And since he had killed himself, before the court could hear an appeal, his guilty verdict is not legally binding. So because he said he was going to appeal and then he died,
Yeah.
he's not guilty in the eyes of the law.
Oh, what the fuck?
So all of the family members and people who...
They don't get that peace or that justice. Which is such a narcissistic thing to do, too, of like, oh, I'd rather kill myself and know that I'm the one that wins.
Yes. I think a politician at one point called it his best murder because he just was able to just erase everything.
Yeah.
It's awful. It doesn't give them the chance to have closure or anything.
That sucks.
You're right. Like, he wins because he got to make the decision.
Because he knows that everyone else is still sad and he holds all the power.
And nobody else got to end his life. He ended his own life. Yeah. So that's what happened with him. And John Malkovich played him in a play, I believe, a theater play.
Oh, wow.
That premiered in Malibu, I believe. You guys.
What? At the end of every episode, it's always, you guys.
You guys, listen.
Listen. Look, listen.
Listen to me right now. Stop what you're doing.
When does this come out?
So this comes out the 24th. So we have exactly 1 week. So the next episode comes out on the same day that the listener episode comes out.
Okay, good. So let's all remember that.
You have a week to send in more stories.
Also, I'm still super excited for our next Facebook Live event. I was thinking about that again. I'm so excited. What do you think? It'll be early October.
I would say early October because I'm also really excited. I want to do it ASAP.
Nice.
We've gotten a lot of orders on
our big cartel.
Yeah,
our
and
shop.
All of that has gone out this week. So, go buy stuff if you want.
Send us fan letters. We haven't gotten a lot of fan mail recently, and I miss it, guys.
Guys, we just want presents.
I'm not saying I'm a narcissist. I'm just saying I thrive off of how you treat me. So treat me well. It's not that hard.
Don't treat us like Jeff or Tina.
No, treat us like Jack.
Treat us like Jack.
It's not, again, not difficult to do.
Wait, which one's Jack?
The narcissist that thrived regardless of however he lived his life.
I thought you meant Jackie. So our stories today were Jack and Jackie.
And Schultz and Schaefer.
Oh my God, what's happening?
Basically, we're slowly inching up to the Matrix.
No thanks. As we inch closer to my cellar.
Yeah, as the door inches closer to us.
Creepy.
All right, well, you guys can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, ATWWD Podcast. You can email us at andthat'swhywedrink@gmail.com. You can find our Patreon. Actually, it's our Patreon donators. Thank you so much. We're actually we thank you all the time, but we're still super grateful. It's unbelievable how much you're helping us.
You're the reason we can make this happen. I'm not even exaggerating.
It's really when all the big A-listers out there are like, I do it for you. You're the ones that give me hope. You guys make this possible.
Thanks to the fans.
It's actually, you guys really make this possible.
No, truly. If you weren't there, we couldn't have.
We could not do any of this.
No, we couldn't.
Also, our shop is andthat'swhywedrink.bigcartel.com. Our website is andthat'swhywedrink.com. You can send in your listeners' episodes to us. We do them first of every month. Is that it? That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.
And that's why we drink. We never say the title of our podcast anymore until the literal last second.
And that's why we drink.
Podcast.